Hello. If you're watching this, there's a good chance you're going through something incredibly tough. Online harassment, but from a family member. We know how painful that is, and honestly, how confusing it can be. So, in this explainer, we really want to bring some clarity to the situation and show you that there is a path to safety.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It's confusing, it's heartbreaking, and you can feel so alone. You probably feel trapped, thinking, how am I supposed to handle this? This is family.
And that's really the core of it, isn't it? When those lines between family and harasser just blur. It creates this whole other level of pain. I mean, this isn't some random person online. The emotional weight is so much heavier, and it cuts way deeper. And it's so common to feel this sense of obligation, right? You might tell yourself, oh, it's just family being family, or I just have to deal with it to keep the peace. You get this feeling that your hands are completely tied. But here is the single most important thing I want you to hear. You do not have to put up with it. Your safety, your mental health, that has to come first. Taking action isn't about starting a war. It's about protecting yourself and putting those necessary boundaries back in place. So you might be wondering, why does this even happen inside a family? Well, understanding some of the common reasons can kind of help. It shows you that, sadly, you're not the only one going through this. Let's dig into some of the usual triggers.
You know, jealousy is such a powerful and frankly destructive emotion. We see it a lot between siblings or step-siblings, where someone's success or happiness just fuels resentment. And that resentment spills out into these awful online attacks.
And then there's money. We all know how messy that can get. Arguments over things like inheritance or loans. They can go from a private disagreement to a very public and very nasty online smear campaign in no time. A lot of the time, the online stuff is really just the tip of the iceberg. It's often a symptom of these really deep, unresolved family problems that have just been bubbling under the surface for years, sometimes even decades, before they finally explode. So you can see a pattern emerging here, right? We've got jealousy, money problems, custody battles, old family baggage, and sometimes it's just a complete breakdown in how to communicate with each other. Seeing it listed out like this can actually be a little comforting. It just proves this is a real issue, not some personal failing on your part. Okay, to really show you how this plays out, let's talk about a case we actually handled. I think hearing a real story makes it all a bit more tangible and, more importantly, shows that a good outcome is absolutely possible. But first, just a quick and really important note. To protect our client's privacy, we've changed her name to Scarlett, and we've tweaked some other details. We take confidentiality very seriously. So this is Scarlett. She was going through a nightmare, being relentlessly harassed online by her stepsister, Harley. It started out with things like nasty comments and posts on social media, just this constant draining attack. And then it got so much worse. The whole thing escalated when Harley started leaking private, personal family videos and pictures of Scarlett online. I mean, this was a massive violation of her privacy and her trust. And as you can imagine, the impact on Scarlett was just devastating. She felt completely cornered, her private life was suddenly public, and she was getting messages from total strangers. She felt trapped and absolutely helpless. Scarlett's story is awful, but it leads us to the most important part of all of this. What can you do? So let's walk through a clear path to safety with steps you can start taking today. Okay, number 1, document everything. I mean everything. Screenshot every single post, message, and comment. This evidence is so important. Second, and I know this is hard, do not engage. It is so tempting to fight back, but replying just adds fuel to the fire. It's the reaction they're looking for. Third, you could think about mediation, maybe through a neutral family member you trust. But if that gets pushback or makes things worse, you need to stop right away. And finally, step 4, when things are severe, the most powerful step is to get legal advice. Just understanding your options is incredibly empowering. And that 4th step, that's exactly what Scarlett did. So let's get back to her story and see how getting legal help completely changed the game for her. So after Scarlett got in touch with us, the very first thing we did was send a formal cease and desist letter to Harley. It's basically a very serious, legally worded letter that says, stop this immediately, or here's what could happen next. And just look at the difference here. On the one side, you've got Harley's campaign, constant negativity, lies, leaking private info, and on the other, the legal outcome. The harassment stopped, like immediately. A legally binding promise was made. And most importantly, Scarlett got her life back. The results was crystal clear. Once she was faced with real legal consequences, Harley not only stopped, she actually apologized and signed what's called a legally binding undertaking. That's a formal promise to never harass Scarlett again. That's real enforceable protection. And this really gets to the heart of what we believe. Every single person deserves to be safe from this kind of awful, damaging behavior. You have a fundamental right to peace of mind. If any of what we've talked about today sounds familiar, if it's hitting a little too close to home, please know you are not alone, and help is out there. The number is right here on the screen. We're here to listen and just help you figure out what your options are. So, we'll just leave you with this one question to think about. If what a family member is doing online is causing you real fear, anxiety, or distress, Isn't it time you took that first step to find your own path back to safety?